आदियोगिं नमस्तुभ्यं प्रसीद योगेश्वर जन्ममरणोऽलङ्कृत.
Hello friends, today with us we have a personality who needs no introduction, a guru who has given a different dimension to the spirituality, a guru who is passionate about bike rides and car rides, and of course immense concern towards ecology and environment. That's the reason he's leading Rally for River campaign, and that's none other than Sadhguru. How successful is your Rally for River, as you see?
Till the rivers start flowing as they were flowing 50 years ago, I wouldn't consider anything a success. But is this 30 days been fruitful? 100%. I would say it's beyond most people's expectations, because there's been a phenomenal response from people, from the political leadership, from the spectrum of parties that we have, and the media. Everywhere there's been a phenomenal response, and the policy document is ready. I think tonight it's coming from printing. So everything is bang on. So the rally is successful. But I would consider this a real success only when with my eyes I see the river waters have risen.
How does a missed call revive a river?
You've heard of Mahatma Gandhi?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
No, because you're a new generation. Mahatma Gandhi just walked down with 72 people behind him and picked up a handful of salt. Many people laughed. This old man picking up a handful of salt, is it going to make the British go away? I'm sure there was no WhatsApp, but I'm sure there were lots of jokes. But that man picking up that fistful of salt that day changed the destiny of this nation in many ways. Similarly, your missed call, have you given your call?
Yet to.
Huh?
Yet to give it. But I have motivated people to give.
Your missed call can be that fistful of salt for the rivers in this country. That's what it is. Because if you do not understand the power of your vote in a democratic society, then what is the point living in a democratic society? We could have appointed a king for you, you could have served him. We put you in a democratic society because we thought we understood the power of your franchise, that you can say something and that becomes the reality. You can choose who you want, or you yourself can stand up and become the king of this country or any country now in the world. That is what democracy means. In Tamil, the word for democracy is Jananayakam. That means the people are the leaders. So if you are the leader, should you not express with a simple vote that this is what we want in the country? And the people who are running the government now, whether it's your chief minister or MLA or MP or the prime minister, they are not your rulers, they are your representatives. So suppose I choose you as my representative for something, and if I don't tell you what you should do, what the hell will you do? You will do whatever you like, isn't it? Then I sit here and complain, but I don't tell you what I want. What kind of appointment of representative is that? Once we appoint a representative, we must tell them this is what we want, isn't it? So this is what opportunity is. This is an opportunity, this is a historic opportunity. Here people of India can now express that we want a long-term river policy. Why it's important to express is because this is not a short-term result-oriented thing. If we start working on it now, we will see results in the next 15 to 25 years. Who is going to invest on such a long gestation period policy if people don't want it? So people have to clearly say, still 30 days are there. I said 30 crores. You must give your missed call and make sure it reaches 60.
60. Yes, across the all other river policies or water policies, why should government accept Isha Foundation's water policy?
See, there is no comprehensive river policy in the country. Most of the policies concerning rivers is always about how to share the river waters between this state and that state, between industry and agriculture. Like this, there are various policies. All of them are about the usage, not about revitalizing, because this thought has not yet come into the policy making, that rivers are in serious danger. If we do not revitalize them, they won't exist. Till now we have always been thinking, rivers will anyway flow, how much you should drink, how much I should drink, that was the only concern. But now that's not the concern. How to keep the rivers flowing, so it's very different. The very direction and the dimension of it is different.
What are the highlights of your policy, your water policy?
It's a complex policy document, but fundamentally we must understand this, there are only two kinds of rivers. One is glacier-fed, another is forest-fed. In India, only 4% of the water is glacier-fed in our rivers. Fortunately, because we cannot make snowfall happen, it's not in our hands, it's a global situation. The rest are forest-fed. This is a good thing because we can put back forests and get the rivers going. So, fundamentally, augmentation of river waters means you have to increase vegetation. The government lands, we want them to become forests. Farmlands around the water bodies must move from crop-based agriculture to tree-based agriculture. This is the fundamental ethos, but there are many other complex issues in this.
What if your policy is rejected? What is your next step?
We'll keep rallying.
Okay, how can planting the trees across the river help in river rejuvenation? Instead of not concentrating on check dams or…
You can only dam the water that is already there. You don't get new water by damming it, all right? If you build too many check dams, you will turn a flowing river into a string of ponds, which has already happened. The river ecology is completely different from pond ecology. If you destroy the river by putting too many check dams, they'll all become string of ponds, and after some time they will evaporate and there'll be dry ponds in summer. Already it's happened to many rivers. You must understand you're living in a tropical country where temperatures are averaging around 35. If temperatures are averaging around 35, your evaporation will be anywhere between any standing water, your evaporation will be 65 to 70%. In states where temperatures are averaging over 40, there the evaporation is over 80%. If 80% of the water is evaporating, what sense does it make holding water in one place? We did dams to facilitate irrigation and hydroelectric power at one time when we were in a serious survival mode for the country. That's fine, what has been done has been done. Nobody is planning any major dams in the country anymore, okay? So, check dams or whatever kind of dams, we can only stop the water, we cannot bring the water. Let's understand first of all how rain happens. This is not something that we have to talk about because it's everywhere. There is something called as transpiration. When the chlorophyll activity happens in the leaf, it creates a certain humidity which draws the cloud and rain happens. This is no more doubt about these things, there's no debate about it. If rain comes, where will the rainwater go? If there is no vegetation, it will go this way like a flood. If there is vegetation, because the roots have found way into the land, the water will percolate into the land. Only 40 to 45 days of rain we have in this country. What comes down in 40 days or 45 days, we have to keep it flowing for 365 days. The only and only way is there has to be substantial vegetation. Otherwise, it will all go away. What falls in 45 days will go away in 90 days, it'll be finished. Right now that's beginning to happen, cycles of flood and drought is happening all over the country simply because there's lack of vegetation.
But do you think this happens in a thick forest, the groundwater table is increased? Do you think by just planting a few trees across the bank of rivers, can the groundwater level be increased?
Who is talking about a few trees? I didn't say a few trees, did I?
Then how many?
Huh?
If to tell in numbers.
It'll be something that you cannot count. Because this is not going to happen with a few trees, this needs thick vegetation. 25% of the riverine land is in the government hands. This we want to make them into proper forests, which we will. I'm determined about that. The remaining land is in the farm hands, it's in the farmer's hands. This is where we are talking about minimum 1 kilometer of land should become tree-based agriculture. Tree-based agriculture to prove to them that tree-based agriculture will bring more economic well-being to them than crop-based agriculture. And it's an insurance for the farmer. He will not have to get into the states of committing suicide and getting into debt traps because trees will be growing. Whatever you do or you don't do, they will be growing. I will show you a farmer who just has 8.5 or 9 acres of land. He just planted trees in his border, in his boundary. Today, his trees are worth over 4.5 crores, okay? Even if he sells his land, he won't get that much. It's dry land. So now, this is how Indian farmer was carrying on. He wants to send his boy for education, one tree they will cut. They want to get a girl married, another tree they will cut, another one will be growing. This is how India's village economy used to happen. Now you pulled out all the trees. Why was all the trees pulled out, do you know? The trees were pulled out when we started this so-called green revolution. It was necessary. As I said, we were in survival mode, we did what we did. When we went for this, the chemical fertilizer companies came and they said, if you have trees, they will eat up all the fertilizer. First thing, if you want to farm, what you must do is you must remove the trees. So all the trees went in the last 35–40 years, okay? In the Ganga basin, 94% of the tree cover has been removed in the last 50 years, 94%. What's our plan for this nation? Disaster, is it? 94% green cover you remove in 50 years' time. Obviously our plan is for disaster, isn't it? Ganga's waters have depleted by 44%, a mighty river, not a simple river, okay? 44% drop in water level has happened. It will further go down because 60% of the agriculture in UP today is being done by groundwater. That means you're sucking it out from the ground. Once you suck out all that water, the river water will go and fill it up. So you will see a serious drop in Ganga waters, in all the river waters, in the next 3 to 5 years. By that time, if we get these trees going in a big way, in a massive way, not a few trees, in a real massive way, if we get this going, we can stem it there and slowly turn it back. That's what we're looking at it. We are at a threshold of time. If we don't take the right actions now, you will see the regret that comes later.
Okay, when it comes to river rejuvenation, the first thing that comes to everybody's mind is pollution. So, be it the agricultural pollution or be it the industrial pollution. So, what is your take on it and how do you think it can be reduced through your Rally for River in your policy?
The policy handles this. Anyway, let's separate river revitalization with pollution and damming and other things because they're all about using or misusing water. River revitalization is about increasing the water flow. These are two different aspects, we must be very clear about this. Pollution is caused by us, cities and industry are the major contributors. Agriculture, in some places it's very heavy, in some places it's not so heavy. Agricultural, this thing can be easily taken care of. Riverine lands must only do organic farming. For that, the necessary support can be given. If you create necessary support prices for all the organic produce, instantly farmers will go for organic. We, as a part of Isha's movement, we have brought in thousands of farmers into organic cultivation. They are all doing well. But first 2–3 years, if you don't handhold them, they will give it up and go back to the chemicals. Those first 2–3 years, they need that support. Both knowledge support and little economic support, both are needed, and market support is needed. If this is done, believe me, everybody will go for organic cultivation. So that won't be a challenge. The industry and cities, one fundamental mistake we are doing right now is, we are asking the polluting industry to set up a treatment plant. Treating water per liter, it costs something. They want to avoid that. So in the daytime, when the inspections happen, they are doing it. In the night time, they're letting it out directly into the river. First and fundamental thing we have to do is, water treatment plants should be a separate industry by themselves, a business by themselves. A polluting industry running a treatment plant is not good. So once, let us say you are the polluting industry, I am the treatment plant business, now will I allow you to take away my raw material and leave it in the river? I will make sure that your polluted water must come to me. And right now, if you take it this way, approximately the Mumbai, I'm taking Mumbai because I been talking to the officers, over 4,000 million liters of sewage per day is coming out. These 4,000 liters are going out probably in 1,000, 2,000 outlets in all kinds of places. You first have to… the government has to do this, it has to reduce the outlets from 1,000 or whatever number to, let us say, 50 or 100. Now if you give out a tender, there are so many companies across the world and there are many in India. Many companies are going into treatment plant business. They will set up this. In your house, if you're getting 100 liters of water, we assume that 70 liters is sewage. So anyway your water is metered, so we know how much is going into your house. We don't have to meter the outlet, we just assume it's 65–70%. Domestic one price, business another price, industry another price, chemical industry another price, you put it. For every liter of sewage you pay. Once you pay with that money, they will run the business. Apart from that, 400 million liters of treated water. If you use micro-irrigation from that, do you know how many millions of acres of land, agriculture you could irrigate? This is a plan for from filth to wealth. If you do not make something commercially sustainable, it will not sustain, that's all, that's a simple understanding. In any activity, in any transaction, if both the people do not benefit, that activity is not going to sustain, whether it's marketplace or marriage. Unless both the people benefit, it will not continue, isn't it? So we have to see how something is commercially successful. That's the only way you can make it sustainable. This is what we are looking at in the tree-based agriculture, that it is commercially successful. This is what we are looking at, all the polluting aspects which are going into the river. It must be commercially successful. Only then it will last. Otherwise, people will find devious ways to put filth into the river once again.
Okay. As we were talking about pollution, I don't want to talk about the carbon dioxide emission that has happened from the Mercedes-Benz and other SUV cars of yours. But what is the compensation that you're going to make for that?
See, first of all, let's understand this. Is Mercedes a legal brand in India? It is. Then nobody has any business to talk against Mercedes or Mahindra or Maruti for that matter, okay? You have no business, because if you think your opinion is higher than the law, then you're a lynch mob, isn't it? My opinion is bigger than the law. What is this? What does it mean? I will enforce it on the street. This is a lynch mob, isn't it? So don't breed lynch mobs in the country. This has to become a law-abiding nation. If the vehicle is illegal, tell me, I'll drop it right here and drive something else. Now, I don't want to compensate, I'm compensating, different, but I don't want to tell you that I'm compensating, I'm driving a legal vehicle, that's about it. Nobody has any business to comment about it. You don't like it, you don't get into it, anyway you're not going to get into it.
Yeah, one last question. So, what is your next step? submission of policy.
This is not the end of the work. This is only the beginning of the work. There's a lot of work.
आदियोगिं नमस्तुभ्यं प्रसीद योगेश्वर